welcome to our session. This is Wolf, I am Dennis, and in the next 40 to 45 minutes we will show you how you can augment your existing Joomla components or other extensions by new code or new extensions by using a such-called low-code platform. So it's not low-code we create, it's actually high-quality code, but you don't have to create the large amount of code, and that's why it's called a low-code platform. Synonym is a model-driven development platform because we follow a model-driven development approach, but it will come to that point later. This is a session we already had or showed in Krakow at the J and Beyond this year. However, this time we shortened the presentation stuff to have more time to show you a demonstration of this platform. The demonstration today is our brand new using our brand new web editor, a web editor you can use to extract code or extract a model out of existing code, augment this model, and create new code, new Joomla extensions. We will show you that later. First point, it's not that crowded here today, but who of you developed his own extension, Joomla extension? Okay, everyone, or you not? Okay, most of you, so you're the perfect target audience here. Then I hope you will, you're on my side when I go through the challenges as a Joomla extension developer. Especially if you have to develop and maintain more than one Joomla extension. If you want to use the API of Joomla, the core of Joomla, and make your extension work smoothly and homogeneous within running Joomla site, you should adhere to the coding standards of Joomla. You don't have to, and that's what you can find if you go through the extension directory of Joomla. Most of the extensions do not follow the coding standards, or they follow it a little bit, but they have a lot of their own stuff in there. And then it's very hard to maintain the stuff, migrate the stuff if a new platform version comes up. So if Joomla comes with a new platform version. If you go through your code, especially as a component developer, I think you also have mentioned that there is a lot of boilerplate code in your Joomla stuff. That's why we have, who of you is using PHP Storm as a development environment? Yeah, so you know there's this boilerplate, Joomla boilerplate project wizard where you can create most of your component or most of the parts of your component without copy and pasting it from an existing component. This clone and own approach, which is what is also actually currently be done in Joomla community. So it's hard for new developers to come into creating new components or modules or plugins because they are not used with the API, with the standards, and we know that because we are from the university in Germany and we have courses with students showing them or letting them work with Joomla and fixing bugs and creating or implementing new features, creating own components. And it's a challenge every time to make them learn how they use and the standards they have to follow, and that's a big problem. That's already always hard if you want to create something which is built on an existing framework. Especially if this framework changes. We're developing extensions since Joomla 1.0. So we had to migrate our extensions during their lifetime to different new Joomla versions, 1.5 and 1.6, 1.7 and 2.5, and then to Joomla 3. And now Joomla 4 is coming, and therefore we decided 4 or 5 years ago we should find a better way to migrate our extensions. It's especially because we have more than just one extension to migrate. It was in JAP, and everyone in the audience was, what? It was around 90 extensions we had to migrate, and we did it with 15 people over 2 years, and it was very time consuming, and we decided, no, we don't want to do that with Joomla 4. So we had enough time to find a better solution, and this is what we show you today. Another use case we also show you today is, it often happens that you have an existing extension installed in your running Joomla site. This can be an extension developed by your own or a third-party extension. And then you decide to, it would be great to have another extension which uses the data of this extension, and then you have to go into this extension, and as I told you before, if it's not following the coding standards, it's very hard to find the parts you need for your new extension. Maybe a module. Module is the easiest one, that's what we show today as well. So there should be a better way or an easier way to extract the required, the main information out of the existing extension, use that in your for your new extension, and then create your code, implement your code in the best way, automatically or easily. And for that, we created a set of tools during the last years, starting with a domain-specific language, because we wanted to follow a model-driven development approach. That means you create abstract models and generate most of the code automatically without implementing it by hand. Of course, you can extend it afterwards and bring your individual code to the generated code, but most of it is generated automatically, and the main information of your extension is part of an abstract model, and therefore can be used, platform independently within Joomla, but also can be used for creating extensions for WordPress Drupal as well, or you can create HTML5 websites out of the same model, which was actually thought as a model for Joomla. So this is possible. We created this domain-specific language. Of course, everything out of Joomla, so we use Joomla as reference CMS because we were most used to it and we were experts in working with Joomla. Then we created editors for IDEs and the code generator itself. And we started with Eclipse, because some years ago Eclipse was the editor by choice, especially at universities. But who of you is using Eclipse? No one. Everyone is using PHP Storm, and that's what the people told me, the developers told me. Roland told me in Prague 2 years ago. He said, Dennis, it's cool what you're doing, but no one is using Eclipse, and you will never find people using it. It was 2 years ago, and we decided, he's right. So we implemented the tools as plugins for the other IDEs as well, for IntelliJ, IDEA, and for PHP Storm. However, even if we support developers who use PHP Storm or any of the JetBrains IDEs, we decided to create a platform-independent solution, and that's why we started this year implementing a web editor, so everything in the web. Who of you has been at the keynote talk? Yeah, so I think it was, I have the same vision. I think in some years there will be no installable software. Everything will be on the web, or at least the most will be on the web, or we use hybrid applications, something like that. But everything must be platform independent. And therefore we created this web editor, and so you have a platform independent solution for following our approach, using our tools, and working with it. And everything is online. So after this talk, you can use it and you can try it out. Give us some feedback, but I will come to that point later. So a lot of talking. Let's come to the demonstration setting first. Wolf.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. So in our demonstration, we want to show you how you can create a new extension for an existing extension using these data from the existing extension. And in our case, we choose a simple conference model, a simple conference component, which has talks, participants, rooms, and an agenda. And we want to use these data to create a new model which shows all the talks in the front end of Joomla. And for this, we will show you how you can extract the important information Dennis talked about from your existing extension, in our case component. Modify this model, the model we get, modify this model, create a new module, a Joomla module, and generate the code, and then we have, hopefully we have a module that we can install in a Joomla instance, and that will show all the talks of the simple conference component. Yes.
You want to do it live or is it video?
Live. It's live, of course, it's live.
No questions allowed. No, that's. If you have any question, you can ask. It's okay.
Yes.
You don't have to wait till the end.
Okay. So the next thing is that we want to use the web editor, because we also want that you will use the web editor later to create your own extensions, or at least try the web editor and give us feedback about it. And the web editor has a text area. I hope that's the right. How can I point? This one. Okay. Has a text area here where you can define a model that describes your extension or your extensions. Here you would create a new model by just typing. And this editor also has features to autocomplete or propose some keywords. If you don't know what to do, it will say it what you can choose next. Question?
Has the browser issue been fixed with a glitch?
Yes.
Okay. Can you make it full screen? Because the typing area is kind of small. If you can make it full screen.
No,
like,
the editor size is fixed at the moment.
Okay.
Because we follow this mobile first approach. We want, it's also possible to use it in your smartphone, but I think no one would do that. That would be a great, maybe in 3 weeks we will do it. It's possible, yeah. We have to put it out of the container or create a new view only for the editor.
If you have an article, you can click the button and it becomes full screen.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That'd be a cool feature. Yes. And we also have some buttons here, and a tree view which will show your current workspace. The buttons are mostly to save and load the models, or to generate code, or load some example models we have. This conference model is there as well. You also can create a new model, download some nodes from the tree here. Load model into the editor so you can edit the model. You can upload an existing extension. We will do this with our simple conference component as well. And you can extract the important information out of the uploaded extension to modify it.
Sure, ask a question. The Joomla extension, is it just a component or also the modules, the plugins?
It works
everything
with packages as well. So we, in our language, we have all extension types in there. But we have an issue at the moment. Our editor is can only unzip one file, only the container. Yeah. So if you have a zip with your package, the extensions are not zipped. So actually, at the moment, we will fix that in the next weeks. But we found it yesterday. It's working.
The extension and the examples are all components.
Yeah, because components are have the most features.
Yeah, of course. But that's why my question is if it's just components or everything.
It's a good question. Thank you.
So what I should mention is that you can start using the editor. Just go to the URL we show you later, and then you can just start creating your own extension, extract the data, etc. But this is only for your current session. If you want to have a workspace that is persistent, you have to log in. Just simple registration, username, password, and log in with the same data. And then you have a persistent workspace, so you can come back later and just continue your work. Okay.
and this is new, so you are the first people seeing this. It wasn't part of the last version. Okay,
then
so
we should go to the live demo.
okay, are there any questions till now? Okay.
You can do the same thing in your IDE, right?
You can do the same thing in your IDE. However, this model extraction part is an jar file. You have to run it by yourself. There is no button for it in the editor.
But I'm not restricted.
But the rest, no. You can also use the plugins. The newest version of them are uploaded in GitHub and are available there. Okay, so then.
First, we will show you the existing component.
Yes, so we have this Joomla, this empty Joomla site here, where we have a component we also created with our tools. It's this conference example, without implementing anything by hand. We just used it as it was generated, installed it, and put some example data into it. And this component, it's a simple conference component. No, it's not admin. It was. This is, the entry to your component. Of course, you are able to put a style to it. Our generator does not generate any styles, so you have to style the code afterwards. But we are following the Joomla standards and create the Joomla standard code. Let's go. We have participants in here, and you see this typical management views in the back end for the CRUD operations. You can go to an entity and then you see it. It's and everything of that is actually modeled or was part of the model and it was generated automatically. Only the data was inserted by hand. And we have these talks here and rooms, agenda items. It's actually a time schedule.
Can you go back to the talks?
Yes.
Yes. So these are the information we want to show in the front end to the user by creating a new module.
Yes. When we go to the front end of the page, it looks like that. This is just an empty.
Can you zoom in?
Sure.
Can you?
Better? Okay. This is the standard template of Joomla, and we created some menu items for the views. The views are available. In the model we can decide if we want to have the views as back-end or as front-end views, and then they get generated, and then we can use them. Because we decided to have all the views as front-end views as well, we were able to create menu items for them. So as you see, it looks similar to the back end. You have the participants or the talks, and you can see the data. These are just detail views, no edit views, but it's also possible to specify them as editable views in the front end as well, and give some permissions. And then if you are logged in, you can edit them in the front end as well. That's similar to the back end. And what we want is a module. Of course, not a styled module, a simple module which illustrates the data anywhere here on the side, at the side, at the right side. Okay, so just to show you, we have no module. We will name it conf talks. I think conf talks were on the slides. Yes. So there are no conf modules or something installed. You see it here, just to validate ourselves. A simple conference, that's the component, yes. But there is no module. And what we want is we want to create a module, a new module, without researching the existing component and creating it by hand. What we want to do is we want to extract the information out of the existing simple conference component and create a new module by augmenting this abstract model. And we want to do it here in our web editor. This is live, this is our web editor. You can find it there, but we have, you cannot see it. We have a tiny URL as well, so that you will, that you are able to access the site. yeah, when you go to the site, it looks like this. You have the editor here and file tree, and you are not logged in, so everything you do here is only for this session. If you close your browser, everything is gone. You have to download your stuff. But starting starting without any code is very hard, even if you write low code or abstract code. And therefore, we really recommend to use example models. We have some example models in there, basic example model, the conference model, a web shop model, and Brückenkurs for our Germans.
Free course.
For courses in the university sector. Yeah. So when you go to this conference and you see it's loaded to the site, and the model or the domain-specific language is actually built up out of 3 parts in it. There's one part for the data modeling, so you model your data of your extension. What are your entities, which attributes they have, and which types they have. But the types are abstract too, but if you want, you can define very concrete or data types as they are in the database or in the Joomla code afterwards. But if you want, you can give abstract types like text, short text, and the generator creates a default type for that afterwards. The second part of the modeling language is the page part. The page part combines everything what we find in Joomla as MVC. So every view needs a controller and a model, and all the files belonging to that are abstracted to a page. So you define pages like an index page for these list pages, or details or edit page for the detail pages. Or you can create custom pages and so on. This is also possible. And the third part, that's actually the only Joomla specific part at the moment in the language, is where you define the metadata of your component or of your extension. You define the author of your extension, the languages you have in there. The language files are also generated automatically, but you are able to create own language key value pairs in the model if you want, but you don't have to. You can do it if you want. And in this extension part, you use pages and define in my front-end section, I want these pages I defined before, and in the back-end section, I want these pages, and then everything is generated. You can go through this, through this model. We see a lot of entities. These are the data entities we have in our conference, the talks, the rooms, the participants, with attributes and references to other entities. Then
references to other entities, you mean when I have a room, I can link it to speakers, because on one day there could be 4 speakers in one room.
Yes.
And it will create all those dependencies.
That's what we have here at the program. Yeah. The program has the title of the talks in there as a reference, and then you see here, okay, this is the title of the talk, but it's referenced to the program, and so on. Or the talks have, okay, the speaker is not referenced here, but I think in the back end. But it's working, because it depends on the reference. You are able to create references from each entity to another one.
The speaker has multiple presentations during a conference.
Mm.
Yeah, that's of course possible. You can create 1 to n and m to n. Relationships there.
Is that what your link parameters are? Is that what you're saying, your link parameters?
The link parameters here, yes, are a part of the page part in the model. The pages, as I said before, combine everything we have within this MVC structure in the Joomla component. But we only say we have these list pages, detail pages, or custom pages. And in an index page, that's the list page, you have to refer to the entity you want to show in there, you want to illustrate. And you can define which columns of this entity will be seen in the table, in the list table. That's the table columns here. You can define which filters are working in this list view out of your entity, and the links are the links to the referred entities if you have in there. But the links have to go to another page view, so you need the pages defined in your model as well if you have a link in there. If you have an internal link, you can also have external links to any page. That's also possible. Well, and we have the detail pages, the index pages, and independently of if you want to use them in the front or in the back end, you only have to define them once here, and then you can use them several times. The same page for front and back end, and then it's generated the way we need it. Yeah, and here's the extension part. We have this component in here, some manifestation information like the author, copyright, license. The languages, as I said, you have to define the language you want to support. Currently, we only generate English and or the key value pairs you define by yourself. But it's not a problem to extend the generator by other languages as well. And here you see it. You can then all the folders and the files are created automatically. Yeah, and then the section part, that's the last part, and then we're done with this model. You define the references to the pages, to the sections where you want to show the pages, such as the front-end section, the back-end section, and then the pages we want to have there. So here we only have this component, but what we want to show you, the registration, you trust us, everything works. You can test it afterwards. We do it here now because of the time. So we have, this file tree. We have the source here, nothing is generated. If you press generate code, then you see in source gen, there is all of the generated code. You can find it there. And we generate not only the extension, the installable extension, what we also generate is an update folder where you find the files you can use to copy into your existing extension for updates. And also we generate the entities part, only the data part of your model and the page part of your model, so that you can use the code of these parts independently to Joomla if you want to. So when you go to the entities part, of the component conference, then you see we have the fields and the SQL file and the tables. This is actually independent to Joomla. You can use it in every application, but of course every reference to a component-specific name is placed by a placeholder, because you have no component then in there, because it's not a component. So the actual installable extension you can find here, simple conference, and then it's divided into new or the update part. And in the update part, there's admin side, and in the new part, when you go into, we follow the structure of a component, of an installed component for the components. So you have the component and the components, and then everything you need in there, so that you're able to copy this directly to your existing Joomla site, and it's working as well.
The update part still needs fixing then?
For the update part, there are just the files and no manifest file and all that stuff.
I think in the update you should also follow the folder structure, because then somebody gets a copy.
Yeah, okay.
It's a folder and it's done. Now you need to find out where everything is located.
Yeah, yes. You're right. Okay, thanks. Okay, so now let's upload our existing simple conference. Oh,
4K.
Yeah, that's 4K. It's a simple conference. You see it here, simple conference. Upload. And then it's part of this reverse folder. It's in there. And you see this is our conference, our uploaded zip file. It must be a zip file at the moment, but we're thinking about changing it so that you can just specify a root, and then install it, or you can upload it out of an existing Joomla instance. It's much easier, but at the moment it must be a zip file. And then you can use the manifest of that file, and then you can create a model extraction. To see the model extraction, this needs a little bit of time. Okay, and then it's done. And then you see in your model part, beside the main, we have another model, the simple conference. You can load it to the editor, then it's there, and then you see this is, of course, a generated model. You see it. We have these carrots here to allow using names which could be types or anything like that, but during the generation they are not seen. We have a lot of parameters here because we extract everything out of the existing component, what could be interesting for a further development.
Parameters, which file is that actually? Is that the...
These are the, actually global parameters you can also use as, for in your component. Yes. Okay, but for us the most interesting thing is we have the entities in here, the used entities, the pages, of course without the links at the moment because they are not interesting for us. More interesting are the entities because we want to use the data of this component in our module. And then the extension part, and there is the component. And what we want to do now is create a new module. Of course, I know how to do it, so I do it now. This is the autocompletion part of the editor. We want to create a module.
Quick question, the backend section, why do they start with a...
The caret. Yeah, the caret, it's, during the model extraction, we put it in as a prefix to all of our names, just to be sure there is no problem with some types or some other used names in our model. But it's no problem. When it's generated, the caret is removed.
Yeah, okay.
So we want a new model. We call it conf talks. Okay. And then in there we have this manifestation, and to speed up it a little bit, we copy it from here. Okay, I have it here 2 times. So, and you see there's auto validation as well. So if there's a problem in the model, you will see it and you get a short description what the problem is. And if there's no problem, everything is fine here, as we have here at the moment. Warnings, okay, because we have no author URL. So, then the languages, and here it is sufficient if you just create the name, and the name must be this typical, must follow the standard, such as ENGB, yes. And it's sufficient. Oh, yeah, you can create the key value pairs, but I don't think we have enough time. So this is sufficient, and then a language folder with the ENGB files in there is generated afterwards. Okay, let's finish that. Yeah, and the last thing is in our module we want to show a page from the component. So we create a page reference here. Define which page out of the existing component we have in there we want to show the talks. And then you can specify how your module is generated. If your module contains the model or has a reference of the model of the existing component, or if you directly use the database of your component, both is possible, and you define it here by at first from where you want to use it, the simple conference component, and the data, you have the backend data access object here, so then you use the model of the backend, you can use the model of the frontend or the database directly, that's also possible. We have the web service in there, but this is not working at the moment, but in the next version we want to support web service as well. So in this case we want to use the backend data access object. And here's a problem. That's because there is a missing bracelet here. So, and then everything is fine. That's all. This is a new module. Of course, it was very fast now because of the presentation, but this is everything you need for generating the module which depends on the existing component. Then let's generate the code and hope it works. Everything is live, okay. Let's take a look to the source gen folder. Then we have the simple conference folder here, and we see there is a module modconf talks. And everything in there is generated by this low code we created in the editor.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
You have the TMPL folder, which has the layout of your module. You probably always want to change that. So if I generate the module again.
Yeah. It is overwritten.
Yes.
At the moment. There are some possibilities to do, such as create an annotation in your code so that it's not overwritten. We implemented that. It's just one option you can define. It's not in the web editor, but in the IDE plugins.
I would say what you could have is maybe an option that it can import an existing file where you actually put the markup.
This is a very big problem of model-driven development approaches. If you have this round-trip engineering and existing code which is individually overwritten, and then you have a problem there if you generate a new. The simplest action is to create an annotation, and then it's not generated anew. This is what we have done, but not more.
Or create a template override.
Or that. That's also possible. So well, and in the editor you are able to download every node in this tree just by doing a right click, and we want to download the modconf talks now.
You get a confirmation if you click remove, or not?
Yes.
Yeah. We can remove this. I hope it works. Okay. You have it there, and then it's gone. So well, then let's finish the demonstration by installing this module. Okay. It's green. Live demos. I don't always do live demos, but when I do, I sweat a lot. So well, and let's go to the modules, and there is the conf talks. We can, or just go into, yes, at the moment it's not published, we publish it, we give it a position, just say
position 7, right?
Right, yeah, position 7 is okay. And we want to see it everywhere. Save. Well, and then let's refresh the page. Ta-da, it's there. And as I told you, there's no, because it's just the simplest form of the model in our case here, and there is no style in it. You have to style it by yourself, so you should overwrite the template file, the TMPL file. And at the moment, it's just a list of the entities you have in there, of the data you have as part of the entity. But all you can see here comes out of the existing component. So you didn't have to research the component. You have the references here from the module to the component, and all is done by this approach. Okay, everything worked. I'm glad. Okay, so then it's 11. Yeah, are there questions to that? Yeah, sure.
I said I see a null date, then 000 minus 00. If I want to have a check in my code if it's a null date, don't display anything or echo unknown. Can I do that in the model?
You cannot do that in the model, okay. Because this is so individual. You can do it for the components. That's possible, but not for modules. Okay. For the components, you can specify it in the model, and then it's generated for the backend. This is possible. Okay, then let's come back to the last slides, and then we're done. Okay. Let's conclude this session, and then we're done. What we showed you and demonstrated is a a possibility to augment existing extensions by a model-driven approach by using low-code development. It's not really model-driven, because when I say model, most of the people think of these visual kind of stuff, and this is text. We have textual models, and this is low-code. But the code we generate has high quality since it's generated. We follow the coding standards, and you have code which has more quality, or actually better quality than code created by hand, because it's really hard to follow all the guidelines.
You just have to learn the low code.
You have to learn the low code, but for that case, we made some researches, giving the students and people, our editors, using the examples, generating it and see what it generates, helps out, so that you need not more than 1 day to get familiar with it. So around the 1 day. We have this documentation in GitHub. It's a README at the moment, but I think it's sufficient. Peter Martin tried it out, and he made some progress, so it should work. And he said it's perfect, it works for him, so then everything is fine. It's not done yet. Currently, we have a branch where we create a Joomla 4 generator, and what we actually want to show is you extract your existing Joomla 3 component, and then you refactor it on model level and create code for Joomla 4. So you have model-driven migration in that case. And with that, if you have just one component, you should not, or you can use it, but it's not the only solution. You can do it by hand as well. But if you have a lot of extensions you want to migrate, this could be a helpful tool to help you during this migration. Even if you want to migrate, to have an exogenous migration to another system such as WordPress, or get your extensions from WordPress to Joomla as well. This should be possible.
Are you going to build these engines? So like in your web editor, I can say, well, give me a Joomla extension, give me a WordPress extension, give me...
I will do that as part of my research for WordPress and Drupal, but a first version of the generator, because it's very hard to create a code generator, especially if it has to create high quality, and it's hard without a Joe. Joe is our developer of the generator, and but it will be there. It will be part of it, so that you can define, I want to create a Joomla 3 extension, Joomla 4 extension, and or another CMS. Yes, it will be part of it. It would be great if people like you test it, use it. It's online, you can use it, it's free. Even the IDE plugins are in GitHub. The links are in the next slide. You can use everything, you can work with everything for free. And please give us some feedback. If you find some errors, of course there are bugs. We are just 3 developers. And we try to fix everything and do the best in our case. In 3 weeks I will be in at a Dutch development meeting, a developer meeting, and I hope that these guys will test it too, and to test our quality and bring it to a next level. And what I want to do as well is I want to make everything open source. At the moment only the installable plugins are in GitHub, but during the next year I want to make everything open source, put everything to GitHub, and make everyone allow everyone to contribute. It's hard because it's everything done in Java and Extend, and it's not done in PHP, and creating code generator templates, following Java coding styles, and then following PHP Joomla coding styles within your templates. But if you're interested you are welcome to help us. And thank you for your attention. It's done. If you have questions, feel free.